So I'm somewhere a little bit new today. I'm at Fraser's Motorcycles in Gloucester. I've come a little bit north. I've had to come and film this inside because it's so goddamn windy out there. And this dealership is a Piaggio dealer, a Vespa, Moto Guzzi, Royal Enfield, Aprilia and Suzuki. A little bit of everything. And they have got a boatload of choice. And today I'm taking out a bike that I kind of know about them. Never thought I'd ride one. If I'm honest, I never really wanted to ride one. But apparently it's brand new out for 2024 and I'm excited to see what it's like. Let me show you. Now this is one in the showroom, it's not the one I'm taking out, but let me show you. It's an interesting bike. And it is the brand new for 2024 Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. I'm taking a black one out, but lovely in this grey and red and this blue and red. Amazingly, this bike starts at about £6,000, has 3 years warranty and 3 years breakdown. Now, if you can find me a brand new bike that does that, with that, you should buy it. So here we are with the 2024 Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. A surprising little bike. A bike I would go as far to say has just out GS'd the 310GS. Both A2 bikes. This is cheaper and is comparable. Although this is a bit more powerful, as you'd expect with a bigger engine. They're both made in India. And one's got a BMW badge. If it's your money, where would you put it? I've had to stop on the side of a road where there's this big hedge to try and protect from the wind because I forgot my microphone today and it is very windy. Anyway, so what can I say about the bike? It's obviously built to a budget, but it was comfortable to ride, good ergonomics between the pegs and the handlebars and the seat. It fitted my body very well. I think I like its utilitarianness. It's a bike that the likelihood of whoever's going to own this is going to drop it, and it's well protected from anything that would get particularly damaged. And if it did get damaged, you'd see it quite clearly. I mean, the tank is metal, obviously, which makes a nice change from some bikes these days, but those crash bars are going to certainly help. Heavy duty brake and a really nice feeling back brake. Actually, it's quite rare to have a back brake that feels that purposeful, but I like that. The clutch was super light, the gearbox is smooth as you like, it pulls very well. It was nice riding a bike with such a big front wheel. The headstock and the steering is purposeful and not vague. A little bit like the the Ducati Desert X. It's got these quite unpleasant mirrors, but that's absolutely fine. The display is quite cool. I like it quite a lot. You can change this to show a more modern display. I haven't figured out the buttons yet, so I won't do it. It has got a side stand indicator like my Ducati, and that is, I don't know why more bikes don't do that. The switch gear is basic. It's got riding modes. It's got a non-assist clutch, which it doesn't need. The paint job is nice. It does everything it needs to do. This whole A2 class of motorcycle has really surprised me because it's not something I would ever... Why would I buy an A2 bike when I can buy a bigger bike? But every time I sort of get close to the one, you go, oh, that does make kind of sense. I think I said this stands at a little over £6,000. If you want it with tubeless tyres, it's a little bit more. Luke at Fraser's finally gave me a printout, so I can tell you a little bit more about it. What can I tell you? So it's 40 brake horsepower and 40 newton meters of torque, which is not too shabby. Electric start, obviously 6-speed. Ride by wire, quiet enough at 77 decibels. Seat height is 825 in the standard seat, or 805 its lower position. And its curb weight is 196 kilos, so not particularly heavy. 43mm upside down forks, nice. LED headlamp. I mean, for £6,000, what are you buying? What are you buying that isn't this? Because yes, you could say, well, I could get an older bike, an older Jack bike, but for a brand new bike with everything that this has got, I keep saying it, but these bikes are just go. Every time I take one out, you go, how are you beating this? What is going to be better than this bike? There's such a level of sort of naked honesty with these bikes that I can't help but admire. All the big bikes, all the expensive bikes, there's a compromise to be made. There's a shit ton of money to be spent. There's options to tick that just sends the price crazy. But something like this, or that little scooter I took out, or the 310GS, or any other little A2 bike I'm going to take out, well, it just is what it is. If you needed a cheap runaround, what's better than this? I don't know. I'm sure you all do know, but there's a purposefulness of this bike. There's an ease of use, and I should imagine relatively cheap to fix and look after. And what I was really surprised by, was how sort of flickable it was in these corners out on these country roads, on roundabouts. It handled like a big bike. You could forget that it was a 450. You could forget the car. You could forget that it was a Royal Enfield. It could have been any bike. It was tall enough so you didn't feel vulnerable. You can see why these are so popular. You can see why these have a bit of a cult following. I'm sure there's some trick bits you can make this and make it a pretty little bike. But if you left it stock, I think you'd sell it easy enough. I think there'll always be a market for it. Let's have a look at what that seat height looks like in real life. So I'm back from the ride, and I'm very impressed. £6,000, 3 years warranty, 3 years breakdown, good handling, enough tech, really, powerful enough to sit in any traffic, really, quite flicky, I should imagine very easy to maintain, super light. Cheers. Now, I'm sure Royal Enfields, as they're made in India and then obviously made to a budget, they have a loyal following, but a controversial loyal following, because you can say, yes, it's not very good, but by what measure? With all of those things that it comes with for that price, you can't say that's not good. Now, I've come here on my GS, which is to say the best bike in its class, but it was £24,000. That's 6. That has a longer warranty. And it will do 90% of what I need my GS to do, which is mostly going from A to B. Maybe not as comfort, maybe not as fast, and maybe not as much tech. But if you're on a budget and you want some protection from the worst that happens, you have to look at a Royal Enfield. With that, cheers.